Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 312. It is June 13th, 2022. It's 112 degrees in Austin, Texas this morning, and I'm joined once again by Kyle Klingman from Cedar Tales, Iowa. Kyle, big week last week, man. We capped off Final X. You came out to New York City. It was a lot of fun. What'd you think of the event?
I'm still kind of reeling from the Cedar Tail. That was really creative.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like that. But
Cedar Front, Cedar Creek, whatever it is.
It was fantastic, man. Just being out there, having it at the Hulu Theater. I went in 2019 for the Beat the Streets event, and finally have it back there in 2022. It was really cool to see, and the matches were electric, and man, it's just Final X is a good product.
Absolutely. I thought it was great. I actually just got home yesterday, was on a film project shoot after that. And I'll just give a quick description of this. Some people have heard of this young man. So we're doing a new kind of a series called No Sad Stories. And just so basically you take an unfortunate story, but you hear it from somebody, and it's not a sad story. It's just it's a story of their life that they had to overcome something and moved on to good things. And there's a young man out in Long Beach, which is on Long Island. His name's Dunia Sibomana. He's from the Congo, out in Africa. When he was 6 years old, he and a brother and maybe a cousin or brother, they still don't know who the last kid was, but they were attacked by chimpanzees. Like this, like a serious deal. And his face was all mauled up. His brother and his cousin didn't survive the attack, right? Long story short, he was found, I think a year maybe after the attack. A foundation had heard about this, some people, and they got brought to the United States to have some surgeries, right? Because they didn't really have the means to take care of it down there. Makes his way to Long Island, meets a guy named Miguel Rodriguez, who's one of the wrestling coaches at Long Beach, who's this very... I don't even know how you describe. He's the mayor of Long Beach, not really, but knows everyone and is super kind gentleman who's just into helping people the best he can. He kind of took Dunia in, has since adopted him. Dunia now lives in Long Island, on Long Beach, and he's recovered. He's still got scars and everything, and probably will still continue to have more surgeries. But he won a state title as an 8th grader, and just an amazing kid, like. So much energy, so much good energy coming from this kid. And we spent 3 days with them and interviewed him and his coaches and his new mother, his adopted mother, and it'll be a little. It was a big undertaking, so it'll be a little bit before that one comes out. I would assume this fall, but be on the lookout. And like I said, the series is called No Sad Stories. We got a couple other ones lined up that will fall under that category, but. That's what I did, and I just wanted to give a shout-out to Dunia, Miguel, and everybody down in Long Beach, down in Long Island. I'm really looking forward to that one. Kyle, had you heard of this kid?
Hadn't, yeah. I heard you're doing this shoot, and I hadn't really heard the breakdown of the story, but it sounds fascinating. Can't wait to see it.
It really is. So I was just, it's like on my mind, so I wanted to share that with you guys, but... We're going to pivot back to Final X and the world team members and bring on, talk about entertaining. This guy is just like no other, man. It's Benji Peak. He's your world team trials champion. He is your United States world team member in Greco-Roman, and he's our guest today, so bring him on. Benji, thanks for joining, man. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Man, I'm fantastic. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have you joining us. You came onto my radar a couple, 2-3 years ago. I just remember, I don't even know what tournament it was. I think it was in Vegas. Maybe it was the Open. And I hear this commotion. And you're getting on the mat, you're getting off, you're like throwing your arms in the air, you're yelling as you get off the mat. Not upset or mad, you're like an excited, a good energy kind of yell. And then I'm like, who is that guy? So it's like, oh, this is this kid in Greco, and explain, these got a lot of energy and a big personality, and it's not easy to have that, but it's harder to make a world team, and it's even more rare to put them in one. So one, congrats on making the world team. Two,
Thank you.
let's just kind of go. Let's get into your story and like how you're wrestling out at Northern Michigan now, but how did you get introduced to wrestling from the start?
When I was younger, my mom would go to work, and she had to find a place to drop me off. So I would kind of just go to wrestling practice all day until she got done. I do like the youth practice, and then I do the middle school practice, and then I do like the older practice, and then she'd get done and she'd pick me up. And then I just kind of started doing that like daily. I just enjoyed it. And from there, we just kept going. And then once I got more into it and started liking it and finding success, I started going to tournaments every weekend. And from there, the rest is history.
So, like, when you're doing the grade school, middle school, and high school practices, are you in grade school, are you in middle school, or are you in high school?
Yeah, I was like 5. I started when I was 4, but then when I got like to 6, 7 years old, I started just doing them all. A lot of times I wouldn't have a partner, so I'd just shadow wrestle on the side when I was younger. I don't know. It was just something to do.
Dude, that's awesome. Not many 5 or 6 or 7-year-olds are confident or comfortable enough to, wrestle with the junior high or middle school, let alone the high school. What was it like? Were kids friendly with you? Were you just kind of like a kid that was kind of ignored? Like, oh, it's just some extra kid in the room off to the side? Or what was that experience like?
I mean, when I was younger, a little bit, but I mean, the wrestling community, especially in Elkhorn, where I'm from, we have a very strong wrestling culture here. So as soon as you join the team or like around everyone, you get accepted pretty quickly. And I'm so thankful for all the Elkhorn community in general, just because they allowed me to do all that and stay through the practices until my mom was done. So, yeah, it's always been good. Never really had any problems.
What did you like about wrestling that made you want to do 3 practices?
I always like this is the individual aspect of the sport. I don't gotta like rely on nobody. When I was younger, I played baseball when I was real little, and somebody would strike out, I would get really mad. And I played some football, and you can't hold the ball every play. But in wrestling, you're always in control of what's happening, and that's always been something I enjoyed.
I would imagine going to these 3 practices, they're probably primarily folk style.
Yeah, they were all folk style when I was younger. I really didn't get into Greco until like middle school, like the middle of middle school.
Okay, so in finding Greco, well, how did you get introduced? How did you find Greco-Roman wrestling, and what were your initial thoughts?
Wow, out of Wisconsin. Wisconsin's got a really big Greco like heritage, just like the Midwest in general. And one of my good friends, Jesse Thilke, he was a few years older than me, and I would always go watch him wrestle, and I was like, dude, this is really cool. He was always throwing everyone. And when I saw him start doing it, I started going to the same. We were at the same club, but then I started going to the Greco practices, and I fell in love with it instantly. As soon as everyone started doing back arches and throwing guys, I was hooked pretty quickly.
Do you remember your first Greco practice or your first Greco competition?
I do. It was the state tournament. That was like one of the very first ones I did, and I won. But I got thrown a couple times, and it was a wake up call, kind of in a sense. Like you aren't the best at this, because all through folk style for the most part, at least in the state of Wisconsin, I was the best. And then Greco came around, I was getting thrown a little more. I was still winning, but I liked the competitive edge of it, and the throws hooked me. I love that stuff, so it was really good.
So at this point, you're introduced to Greco, and you start going to the States. You win, but you're getting thrown, but you're winning. I assume there was a time when you're wrestling both folk style and Greco,
yeah.
Right? So how long did that go on where you did both, and at what point were you like, I'm a totally Greco guy?
Yeah, I was doing folk style and Greco from like hardcore, both of them, from like freshman year to about junior year. I was doing both, and I just got done. I won folk style state my junior year in Wisconsin, and I took like second at A6 Nationals, and I was really like starting to get recruited a little bit. And then I went to Fargo and I took second at Fargo and Greco. And there was just something, I always enjoyed the Greco practices a little more than the folk style practices. I just liked it more. And my coach in combat, Lucas Stell, he just kind of like told me about the program. And when I went up there, up at Northern Michigan, I went up there and I saw what the guys were doing and how the practices were running, the campus and everything. And I really kind of fell in love with it all. I liked the atmosphere, and I took some college visits, but it was nothing compared to like what they were doing there. It just looked so fun, and it was something I wanted to be a part of. So my junior year, instead of wrestling senior year of high school, the coach at Northern just said, "Hey, you can move up here. We'll even move you in the dorms as a senior. You can do high school online, and you can start wrestling with us right away." So I was like, I thought about it for like a month, and next thing I know, I was packing my stuff up at 17 years old, moving up there with all these old dudes and living in the dorms and training with everyone. It was very quick. Like, it was a very quick transition.
Yeah, and you said you went up there and you had taken some other college folks out, I assume college visits.
Yeah.
But there was something about what they were doing and you know, the practice. What were they doing, or what was different about it, other than they're not grabbing legs, that you were like, yeah, this atmosphere just feels right? Can you like put your finger on it, or is it more of just a feel, like a vibe?
Yeah, I mean, they were bringing in a lot of guys. There's a lot more guys coming in there than you may have thought. Like, at least on recruits and everything. And when they would come, like Andy Bisick had just got hired the year I got there. Like, it was his first year, and he had talked to me and just kind of told me, like, this isn't about winning nationals. This isn't about making world teams. This is like about winning world championships and being not only the best in the country but being the best in the world. And that really spoke to me in a sense, because like I had always wanted to be an Olympic champion, more than an NCAA champion, you know what I mean? And in order for me to do that, Visa kind of sold me, like, if you really truly want to do that, this is the best place to be. And it ended up working out. I really think it's going to work out.
It's certainly working out to this point, right? You're making progress and you're making jumps, and you just made your first world team. Now, the decision to leave home at 17, I know most kids leave at 18, but it's a year early, you know?
Yeah.
What was the conversation like with your parents? What was it like in your own head, and maybe with your friends? Because, right, you're like, you're going to skip prom, graduation, senior year of high school, you know, normal things that a lot of kids enjoy, but you made a sacrifice to pursue something else.
Yeah, it was really hard, especially with like my wrestling friends on my high school team, just because I was a leader on the team, and our team had a good chance to win state. We fell short the year before, and then I kind of pack up shop and leave them. Like, I do feel bad still to this day about it, but for a while we were pretty bitter, but we're back and I'm good friends with all of them again. But that was really rough. And my mom's a high-level gymnastics coach, and my dad's a athlete himself. So like, the conversation was like, you got to do what's best for you. They kind of told me, and they were supporting me no matter what I chose. It was hard on them to see me leave a little early, but eventually I was going to go, and I think they knew that, and they just supported me the whole way.
How'd your high school team do that year? The year you were gone?
They lost in team sectionals to the team that won it, to Stoughton. They lost to a good team.
They tell me they didn't lose by one match.
No, they lost by 2. So
okay, so it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. Totally.
Like a little silver lining there. So, you know, you're saying you get out there to Northern Michigan, you pack it, you're at the dorms, but it's like all these older guys. What was this a similar situation to youth, where like you're 6 and you're going to middle school and high school practices, where did you kind of feel like that same this little kid in a grown man's world?
Yeah, it was definitely weird, because just for like at least a while, like from high school, even like 8th grade, middle school, when I'd come into a wrestling room, like, I was the guy. You know, I came in there, I was the one, like, people wanted to take down, people wanted to, I wasn't giving up points, you know. And then I transitioned up there, and these guys have all been wrestling senior level, high level Greco for a long time. I'm used to Fargo and youth or high school Greco Wisconsin State, and I go up there. I didn't score a point for a year, and it's like it crushes you for a little bit. And I'm wrestling Randon Miranda and Dalton Roberts, and these guys are Sammy Jones. They're killing me. They're literally just killing me, and it was really hard to be the low man on the totem pole for a little bit, but I because of that, I feel like that's why I'm where I am today, and it was awesome for me.
Man, during that first year, that's not uncommon, right? Whether it's a folk style college room or a new guy comes in who's had a lot of success, but all of a sudden he's like the baby and he's getting thumped on, right?
Yeah.
Was that tough mentally or emotionally? Maybe that's kind of the same thing. But like, did you ever go back, lay in your dorm, and be like, "What the hell am I doing? Like, I suck."
Totally. There were times where like I would call my mom and I'd be like almost in tears in a way. I'd be like, I don't know if I can do this. And it was like she'd just be like, you're fine, you're young. I talked to my coaches and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it's like I haven't scored yet. It's been 6 months. I need to do something. And they just told me just to trust the process. And yeah, it worked out. But there was a good chunk of time where it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating.
Did you ever consider or weigh the options to like pack it in and be like, "This ain't for me, I'm out of here"?
Totally. Especially when the snow started coming in the UP, because that ain't a joke. Like, people think it's a joke. No, you have 7 months of heavy snow, and they got all this snow. You can't leave your dorm. I'm not winning. I know I'm still going to be good at folk style if I come back. It's like I should still go to school somewhere good. And again, my mom was probably the most persistent one to just stay with it, because I had called her and said I want to come home. And she's like, "You got to finish the year." And I can't even believe that by the end of that year, I started scoring a little more and I started having more fun, and I fell in love with it again. So.
When you're talking to your mom and you're like, "I don't know if this is right," or I'm thinking about just quitting and coming home, and she said, "You got to finish the year," was part of you like, "All right, I'll finish the year, but I'm not coming back"? Like, was there a point where you thought that, and then maybe your mind changed as you started to score and see a little bit more success?
I mean, there was never a time where I was like, "There's no chance of me coming back," I guess, because then I started wrestling. I was still a cadet when I was there, so I was wrestling these cadet tournaments, and when I get my hands on these guys, I started killing them. But there was, in the back of my mind, it was like, maybe I am done. Like, a little bit, there always is that. But once I started hitting the tournaments, like the cadet trials and then the junior trials, it was like, holy cow, I'm making leaps and bounds. I'm just wrestling the best guys, but I'm truly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I bet that felt good. Meet up with some guys your own age and like see the progress and have the success. As far as your boastfulness, your outspoken, your big personality, right? And I love it. I think it's great. You throw some trash talking in there. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's good for the sport and it grabs attention. Were you like that in high school? Is that just kind of your personality in general?
Totally. No, I have kind of, it's my personality in general. It's always been, it's like talk the talk and you got to walk the walk. That's always kind of what I've believed in. And I mean, I think you're allowed to talk as long as you can back it up always. And for the most part, I usually do. I had a little scare there. I was getting a little nervous in Stillwater, but I ended up backing it up a little bit. So felt good. But my whole life I've been talking the talk, so and I'm going to continue to. I'm going to continue to until someone stops me. So
I love it. When you showed up at Northern Michigan, was it a little tougher to talk the talk when you're getting pounded on?
Yeah, totally. And everybody talks there. It's a very competitive room, and there's a lot of trash talk going on. So that's kind of where I've learned a lot of it, to be honest with you, is in that room. But it was very hard, and I was getting killed, and I was getting really mad. But now I'm having more fun. I have fun talking it too. It's trying to sell the show a little bit.
Tell me about making transitioning from cadets and juniors to the senior level, and how that was at first compared to today, you being the best guy in the country at your weight.
Um, my roommate, I had always told my roommate, like, no matter what age level I'm at, even when I'm a first year cadet, when I was a first year junior, I always told him, like, I've always been at the top of my age division, no matter how old I was. So then there was a time I turned 21, and I was talking with my teammates, and they're like, how do you think you're going to do? It was Olympic trials, was my first tournament as like an actual senior, 21 years
Wow.
old. And I had told them the same thing. I said, no matter what the age level has been, I've always been one of the top guys. And I felt like they didn't believe me. And Olympic trials comes around, and I'm seeded 12, and I just start picking guys apart. I end up making the challenge tournament finals. I lose to Ellis Coleman in a close one. Come back, take third, make national team as a first year. Come back to the wrestling room, just kind of tell everyone, like, I told you, no matter how old I am, I'm going to be one of the best guys. 2022 comes around, and I knew I was winning. So
Describe that Olympic team trials at that first senior level tournament, and your talk, your either trash talk or confident talk, or compare that to the Benji Peak we saw in Stillwater at the press conference on the mat, doing his thing,
yeah.
like personality and like boastfulness.
I'm not gonna lie, that tournament, you come into Olympic trials, you're like, I turned 21 like a month before that tournament, maybe even less, a couple weeks. And I'm talking with my coaches, and they're kind of like, you can win some matches, like you totally can. And I'm like, I'm gonna win it. Like, I'm telling them they get the draw, and my coach Bezic is loving it. I'm telling them I'm gonna win it. I get the 12 seed. I get the guy I lost to first round at last chance, and I tech him, and I'm going crazy right after I tech him. And I just use that energy from that first match, and I start beating every guy in the bracket I had lost to once, and I just teched them all. Nobody made it out of a minute. And when I got into the finals, I really thought I was going to win the whole thing. I was super excited, but I fell a little short. And because of how good I did there, coming into these World Team Trials, I mean, I just knew I was going to win. I had 1 year to kind of maybe not make a team and just kind of say, all right, this is my first year. But now I'm 2 years in. It's time to start getting this done. It's important for me to make these teams so my college teammates can see, like, you don't got to be 26 years old to make a senior world team. You can do this at our program. It helps guys come to Northern, and it's important for me to get the wins.
Yeah, that's great. That your confidence that you're speaking of is just like oozing out of you, even from the 12 seed, which I think is awesome. On top of that success and that confidence, has part of mission's not the right word, but maybe something that you're trying to do, be like, but you're being yourself, like talking, being loud, and like backing it up in an exciting fashion, right? You try to make things exciting. Your matches are fun. You don't, some Greco matches can get boring, right? Guys just sit there and they push and they pummel, but you take a lot of risks. You talk a lot of smack. Is this just for you? Are you trying to make Greco exciting while you do it as well?
It is for me a little bit, just because it gives me a little more energy when I'm out on the mat. But I really keep trying to like emphasize, like, I'm trying to save the sport like as much as I can. I feel like there are times when Greco is going on, people go and get refreshments, and that like bugs me. You go to a tournament, the Greco comes on, and guys go get their pretzel, and it's like, now I feel like when I'm out there, Tracy Hancock, Kamal, it's a great time to be a part of Greco. I feel like I'm a part of that, because when we're wrestling, guys are clicking off freestyle matches. They want to see us wrestle. They want to see some throws. They want to see guys take risks. And that's what I'm trying to be a part of. I know those guys are too. And I truly think we're all making a change. We got to keep doing what we're doing. And I think it's a good time to be a part of USA Greco.
Yeah, I think some of the matches and some of the stuff we saw at Final X was some of the most exciting Greco I've definitely seen in quite some time, maybe ever on a whole, as a solid top level Greco. So let's get to Final X. You're in there against I think Pat's been on at least a couple teams, right? Pat Smith's got some world level experience.
Three, four.
I'll even start with the press conference, right? Because this would be normal in the UFC, right? But wrestling, everybody's very nice, and it's a small community. Everybody's very respectful. But you just went right at Pat Smith, and you were like, dude, you make the world team, and you go 0-1 every year, and we need to get somebody in. You're not that whole deal. Was that how you felt? Which it probably was. Was any of that psychological warfare? Like, I'm just gonna come at this guy like nobody does in wrestling, and maybe that'll rattle him, and maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but it worked, or everything you did worked. Whether or not this was a planned part of that, but I'm curious your philosophy behind it.
Totally, it's to get in his head. Like that's the main reason of it. I feel like, I mean, if you go in there and I tell him he's a great competitor like the rest of the guys did, I mean, nothing's changed. We're going into the same thing as when I lost to him in Nebraska. I got to change some things up. When I heard him talking, he threw me a hanging curveball, talking about how he made a bunch of changes, and I saw it, and I just tried to hit it out the park. And when I'm sitting there in the press conference, I got guys asking me like, oh, it looks like you're trying to cut a promo. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. You guys, like, what's the point of the press conference if I go up here and I say, oh, what a great competitor he is? Obviously, he's a great competitor. Every single guy that's sitting up there for the press conference is a great competitor. That's why you're there. We're here to sell it. We're here to make a name for ourselves. That's the point of the press conference. If everyone's going to sit there and play grab butt, and then there's no point of having it. Yeah, there's no point of having it.
Yeah. Do you enjoy that spotlight, that showmanship, that whole side of it, or is it just something you do because maybe I'm trying to get in his head? You like
every
it?
Time I go out there on the mat, every time I got a camera on me, I tell my roommate, I'm like, when we were on our way to the tournament, I'm like, I'm gonna steal the show. The whole time we were getting the whole week going in, I'm like, somehow I'm gonna steal the show, and that's just what I'm always trying to do. If there's an opportunity for me to be in the spotlight, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna steal it.
You did, man. You did awesome. And so into the wrestling, you're like, I almost didn't do it, right? Because he took match 1, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, yeah. So tell me about, I guess, in between matches 1 and 2, what you do, what you think. Do you rest? Do you take a nap? Do you stretch or re-wrestle? Or do you sit and talk with the coaches and come up with a strat? I doubt you're watching film, but maybe. But like, what kind of things happen between matches 1 and 2?
When I dropped the first one, I was very mad. Like, I was super mad, and it's just like I get off the mat and I lose because I give up a 4-pointer on the edge, and it's like I'm frustrated because he doesn't want to lock up with me. He doesn't want to wrestle. He wants to just push. And my coach is telling me, like, dude, you out wrestled him the whole match. You gave up one mistake. Like, if you stay in the center of the mat, you're gonna win. And I was still really down because you know how hard it is. It's hard to come back. You got to win 2 in a row now. And that last match was at midnight, 11:30. It was like I go to bed at 9. It's like so that was coming around. I'm in the break and I'm kind of beating myself up. I got a bunch of people texting me. I'm not answering them. I go over to that Hall of Fame right next door to Stillwater.
Yep.
I'm just kind of looking around and I'm like, if I want to be in here, I got to do something. Like I'm looking, I'm like, I want to get my name in this thing somehow. I gotta turn it around. So I went straight over to the arena from there. They're right next door to each other.
Uh-huh.
And I just I started warming up a little bit earlier. I didn't put headphones in. I felt like I was getting a little too jacked up before the match. I made some little changes with my coach and just decided I'm going to stay in the center of the mat and make him wrestle me. And I don't think if there's a scramble that happens, if there's an actual wrestling position besides push-outs, that he can beat me. And that's what I did. And I forced match 3. And from there, I knew I was winning. As soon as we won the match 3, I could tell I was winning.
You kind of got the hair on my arm standing up here thinking about, and I'm picturing like you're painting a really good picture. Like, yeah, I got to the Hall of Fame, looked around. I want to be on the wall. It came back, all that. What do you do between matches 2 and 3 now? Because now it is inching towards midnight, or it's probably 8, 9 o'clock, right? It's getting late, and you're running through that second round, and there's a handful of the third rounds that are stacking up. And you've wrestled 2 matches. You're tired. I don't know how much you do or don't need to warm up, but like, what'd you do between matches 2 and 3?
I got back up in the wrestling room. I looked around. He hadn't came back up there. I don't think he wanted to see me because we'd been up there the whole time, and then he didn't come up there. And it rolls around to like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I got this. I'm tired, but like I'm like, this dude's 45 years old or however old he is, you know. I'm like, he goes to bed at like 6 o'clock and gets the early bird special, so I got this. Now he's fatigued, and I came out there, same thing, same plan. I'm gonna get on top. I went down 2 points right away, but I went to the corner and he was breathing hard and I was fine. I knew I was gonna get on top. And when I scored on top, once I took the lead, it was like, again, I'm gonna stay in the center of the mat and I'm gonna make him wrestle me. And when I do that, a lot of these guys can't compete with me. So it was perfect. Everything kind of fell into place.
Would you say parterre was the difference in match 3?
Totally. Totally. I mean, and again, the whole time this guy was grabbing my singlet, and in the match 3, they finally picked up. I had been telling the refs since match 1, like, hey, I can't do anything if he's grabbing my singlet, and they had picked up on it, and they started hitting him for it, and then he had to actually start wrestling me, and then I started picking them apart, getting some push-outs, getting some arm drags, so it all really worked out.
So there was was it match 2 maybe? I think right before the break at half, there was like a sequence, and they caught him, and they saw he caught the singlet, and you all went out of bounds, and they gave him a warning or something. And then I think later that match or the next, there was 2 or 3 singlet grabs that got called out. Were there other ones earlier in match 1 or earlier in the day that didn't get seen or called?
Yeah, in match 1, when I gave up the 4 points when I was winning out of bounds, he had pulled my singlet down. And my coaches, nobody had seen it, and I don't think they could hear me when I was telling them. But there were multiple times. A lot of times he'd get an underhook, and he'd grab the back of my singlet, and I couldn't get out of it. So it was super frustrating. I never had to deal with that before. So I keep telling the refs, and they kept saying it was incidental. And I mean, eventually you got to realize, like, this stuff isn't an accident. You know, it's not, you can't, if you rip my singlet all the way down the back, I mean, it's not an accident. And they started picking up, and they did a good job, but it was a little frustrating for a while.
If somebody's grabbing your singlet, it's probably like tactical to try to stop you or slow you down. Do you think any of it could have been to rattle you the same way you're trying to rattle him in the press conference, right? You jab a guy in the eye and he's whatever. You do something that's a little. And I said this on the broadcast. I'm like, in freestyle and Greco, really, it's kind of like grab the fingers as long as you can and get away with the things you can get away with because they're going to tell you to stop 3 times before they penalize you. Do you think any of it could have been to mess with your head, or do you think more it was like, hey, he's just trying to do this to help his wrestling?
I think there's a little part of getting in my head, especially because I started complaining a little bit, which I probably shouldn't have been, but I was getting frustrated. So, I mean, it was working. It really was working. I think you could tell. But at the same time, when he beat Kamal in 2019, I'd watch those matches, and Kamal had the same problem. He'd grab the singlet. So I knew it was going to be something he was going to do a lot of. And they just, in my matches, they happened to start catching them. I started challenging the calls because they were getting a little ridiculous. And after that, when they could see it on camera, they started giving me points for it. So.
Just walk me through like the closing seconds and realizing you did what you said you were going to do, which most people probably didn't think you would. You weren't the favorite, but you said you were going to win, and you did. You seemed, pretty emotional. Walk me through that and how you felt and what you thought right after you won match 3.
I don't know. It was just a great moment of just because when you set goals, there are a lot of times where you don't reach that goal. There are going to be times when that happens, but this was a big goal of mine. Another one is to win that medal, but this is a stepping stone to get to that. And to do it at 22, telling everyone on my team and my coaches and leaving home early to go do it. And there were times where I was like, I don't even know if this is going to work out. It's a huge moment, and it's just it was super exciting. It was just so exciting. I can't even explain it, but it was awesome. It really was a good feeling.
And obviously now the next task, you said it, right? It's you don't just want to make the team. You want to go earn a medal.
Yeah.
What's your experience with international wrestlers, and how well prepared do you think you are to match up with them?
I haven't got to wrestle at a world championship, honestly. I mean, I made the U23 team last year. I dislocated my arm, so I didn't get to wrestle there. And then I had made a couple junior teams, but there was always a problem. And then the year I really felt like I could have won juniors, COVID happened, so it's like I never got that world championship experience. But I have wrestled at these Hungarian camps with some of the best guys. I've wrestled with Olympians and Olympic medalists and world champions and world medalists, and I know I can hang with them. I know I can score on them. I know I can take them down. I think when I get out on the mat with these guys, I'm going to be one of the hardest matchups for every single one of them because I'm a little more unorthodox.
Yeah.
And I've wrestled with these guys, and they always tell me, like, it's very hard to wrestle me, and nobody's going to want to wrestle me in the bracket. I know it. And once I get my hands on them, these guys aren't going to be able to just come. These guys want to score too. So there's going to be some flurries. There's going to be some throws, and that's where I thrive. So I'm really excited.
Are you looking to make an impact on the international crowd? Right, we'll be out in Bulgaria. Are you hoping to make an impression to where all of a sudden, like, they're following you in your second match and third match? They're getting more and more excited because there's this young kid who's just letting it fly, and he's clearly trying to be entertaining.
Yeah, I really think I can, especially when the points start getting up on the board. I don't think any of my matches are going to be 2-3. I don't think they're going to be like that. I think there's going to be points on the board. Either I tech them quick, or we're looking at a 15-18 score match. Like that.
Please,
and
yes.
I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to do that. And whatever happens, happens. But when I win, I'm gonna try and get everyone going. I want to be like Tracy. I want the foreign people to follow me and be excited when I win. So I'm excited, really excited.
And really, this feels like it's just the beginning. You're so young. You made your first world team. It's like, okay, he's going to go out this year and hopefully wins a medal and this and that. But it's like then next year and the year after and the year after, these wrestling fans are going to, like, be following you, and all of a sudden you're an international superstar.
And I got seniors. So I got senior world championships in September. And then I get back and I'm home for 2 weeks, and then I get on a plane to go to U23 world championships. So I'm going to get a lot of experience in these next few months, and a couple training camps too. So I'm gonna get my name out there. You guys will see. I'm gonna get my name out there.
Well, you already have, but yeah, it can always be bigger and better. And I'm certainly excited. I think it's gonna be awesome, and I'm excited to watch this career unfold. And we got Kyle Klingman over here hanging, being real patient. But I know Kyle's got a set of questions. He's gonna try to stump you here, and he might try to get in your head, so I'll let Kyle take over. Kyle?
We'll try. That's a good point. It's our game called Sweat It Out. We'll see if we can get into your head 5 questions to make you sweat. Are you ready to play?
Yeah.
Number 1, what is the highest peak in the world?
Mount Everest.
You got it.
Oh, where's my bell here?
Number 2, name a childhood game that starts with the word peak.
I don't know.
Hold on.
Oh, peekaboo.
Yep.
I got kids. I got baby.
He helped you. That's
We'll
good,
we'll call that phone a friend.
Number 3, how many 14,000-foot peaks are in Colorado?
Oh my God, this seems tough.
2.
53.
Wow.
No, even in the ballpark.
No bell on that one.
53. Yep.
You sweating yet?
Number 4, name the 1974 movie about a dog that was remade in 2018 with the same name.
Benji.
Got it. And then number 5, in 1984, the United States crowned its first Olympic gold medalist in Greco. Name the 2 Olympic champions from that games.
Roulon Gardner? No, that's how.
2000.
I don't know.
Come on. Okay, let's. One of them.
One work. Yeah.
Go ahead. You got something, Kyle?
Well, one works at USA Wrestling.
and was the coach before Matt Lindland.
Oh,
It's not fair
Steve
'cause it's-
Frazier.
Steve Frazier.
And the other, yep, the other is no longer with
Announced.
us.
Correct.
And did he announce UFC 1 or UFC 2? And he used to do the NCAA wrestling broadcast, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know this one. You guys are gonna have to help me.
Yeah, his name's Jeff Blatnick.
I've never even heard of him. Isn't that terrible?
A little
It
bit.
really is.
Isn't that
It
terrible?
really is.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
At least you're honest. Some people be like, "Oh yeah, I knew that."
No, I just
Okay. 3 out of 5 passing in some places, I guess. Okay, you're off the hot seat with Sweat It Out. We got one more game though, and this one's called Wins and Whoopins. So if you can think back the entire span of your career from 6 years old till match 3 at midnight, right, a week ago. Can you think of one win and one ass whooping, right, that are memorable? And it can be, the win can be a whooping you put on somebody, or maybe it's one of those matches you just wrestled recently, or maybe it's a comeback, or beating a childhood foe, or it can be anything. But one win, like when you think back at wrestling, like, oh, this one match, for whatever reason, it can be spectacular, it can just mean something to you. A win that's really memorable and stands out, and then like a really, really bad ass whooping that you walked off the mat. Maybe it's like the things you were taking for a year at Northern Michigan, but I'm looking for an actual match example. One win, one whooping. Do either one first, but we're looking for one example of each from any point in your career.
all right. So one win, Jacob Barnett, Eric Barnett's brother. I wrestled him at the high school state finals. I lost to him earlier in the year, and then I beat him in overtime in the finals. That was a big win for me. And then one whooping I took was I wrestled Malik Heinzelman
Mm-hmm.
in the national finals, and I was going out there thinking I was going to do it to him, but when he super ducked me in front of everyone, and just he really put it on me there, and that was a pretty humbling experience. So that was probably the whooping.
Okay, so you thought you were going to do it to him, but he
Yeah.
ended up doing it to you.
Yeah, he killed me.
Those are the worst, when you come in as confident as can be, and then it just goes the exact opposite way.
He'd cut me. It was bad. It was bad.
So you were a little. Malik's a little guy. You were a little guy for a while, huh?
Yeah, I wrestled 106 for a long time. I was 88 for a while.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right, little guy. So, what's the rest of your summer look like?
Just training really. I'm home right now, but I'm gonna go back up to school. I'm planning a training camp out in Rome. I know there's this ranking series tournament. I'm not gonna wrestle in it. I'm just gonna do the camp. And then I gotta be in the OTC for a little bit in Colorado. So I got a pretty busy summer.
Awesome, man. It should be a lot of fun. I mean, and it's so crazy that
Totally.
after match 1, it's trending as like your summer changed between right after matches 2 and 3 compared to after match 1. You're like, I don't know, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, oh crap, not oh crap, but oh awesome. This is my summer now. Nonstop training at camps and going overseas for camp, and it's pretty awesome, man. I can only imagine how excited you are.
Yeah, super
Awesome.
appreciative.
Sweet.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, anybody can make it. Sofia, Bulgaria. No, Belgrade. So Belgrade.
Oh, Serbia.
Serbia.
Yeah.
Get my European countries and cities mixed up. But Belgrade, Serbia, September 10th through the 18th. It all goes down. You can catch it right here on FloWrestling if you don't get a chance to go out there, Benji. We're going to give you the final word. Anything you want to say about anything?
Not a whole lot. Just it's a great time to be a part of Greco-Roman in the U.S. and I hope we can bring some medals home. So thank you guys.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you, Benji. Hey, congratulations on an awesome performance out in Stillwater. And man, just keep doing your thing. Keep feeling your groove. Keep being you. And I can't wait to watch this whole story unfold.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Bader. Thank you guys.
You bet. Thanks so much, Benji. Have a great day. Bye-bye. All right, Kyle. He's the man. He's on a hot streak. He's confident and he's ready to make heads roll out at the World Championships. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like with anything, we'll see. I mean, hey, he talked some smack there, but it's a tough road to climb to get to the peak of Greco, as you know.
Did you say you did the peak? I see what you did there.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
You and your puns. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it. Great show today. Thanks to Benji for joining us. And for Kyle Klingman, I'm Mark Bader. We'll see you next time. Thanks.